Hi, I'm Helen from Heritage Organic Seeds, and today we're going to start the sow along for our Kale Red Russian seeds that were in our March subscription box. So this is a really beautiful type of kale. It has lovely purple veining through the leaves, and the leaves are more tender and more sweet than most types of kale. So I know you're going to love this. So as normal, you have your insert in your box, which gives you some information about the variety, and on the back we have our sowing and growing instructions. So let's get sowing. So like all of the seeds in the March subscription box, I am sowing mine into this module tray so that they're all together, apart from the basil, which I've kept inside because that just needs some warmer temperatures to germinate. So I'm just going to do 2 rows of my kale. I've pre-warmed the compost. Like with everything at this time of year, it's still very cold outside. So if you keep your compost outside like I do, it will be freezing cold and probably very wet too. So I just brought mine inside yesterday to warm up to room temperature so that I'm not sowing the seeds into freezing cold compost, because that is just going to inhibit germination and there is a high chance that the seeds will just rot because it will be so wet and cold. So I've just filled my module tray with compost, and then I'm just going to make a little dimple into each cell. If you want to sow your kale seeds into seed trays as well, that is fine. Just the same principle as everything else really. Just fill the tray with compost, scatter a few seeds on the surface of the soil, not too close together, and then just cover with a light layer of compost. But as I say, we're doing ours into these module trays. So it's always recommended that you sow a couple of seeds per cell and then thin them out so that you keep the strongest seedling. So I'm just going to pop some seeds in the palm of my hand where I've got a bit more control, and then just pop 2 seeds per cell. So we're just going to cover the seeds with a thin layer of compost. So I've just rubbed it between my fingers just to get rid of any larger clumps. So I would say I've added no more than maybe ½ centimetre of compost, so they're not too deep at all. And then we're just going to lightly water with a fine spray using the rose on the watering can. And then pop our little plant label in. So you want to keep your seed tray at around 10 degrees Celsius until your seeds germinate, which should take around about 2 weeks. So I'm going to keep these in the greenhouse because this tray is far too big to keep indoors. And when you see your seedlings start to emerge, just grow them on as they are for now. And when your seedlings have developed a set of true leaves, we're going to carefully prick those out and transplant them into their own individual pots. So I would go for something like a 9 centimetre pot. That's usually an ideal size to go into. And then we'll grow them on into that pot for a few more weeks. Allow the plant to develop some more true leaves, and then in about May time we will look to transplant those into their final growing positions in the ground. Of course, we will harden off our plants before we do transplant them into their final growing positions, and that just helps to get them used to the various elements that they will experience in their new home. And you want to plant your kale plants around 45 centimetres apart. As with the cabbage, we are going to want to cover our kale plants with some netting to protect them from pigeons and cabbage white butterflies, which just love to nibble away at the leaves. And you want to keep the growing area weed free.